Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to Lessons Learned by Unica. Today we got a good one for you. Today we're going to talk about, and I'm going to get right to the point. Today we're going to talk about going from foreclosure to making over $100,000. Yes, once again, this is our story. And I'm going to get raw with you, and I'm going to get real. This is uncut and unedited. All right. So if this is the kind of thing you like, I ask you to stay around until the end of this video because there will be many lessons that you will benefit from. But I'm just going to really open up and pull back the covers. But before we talk about the point of us going from foreclosure to me, myself making over 100,000, obviously my husband makes more, but to me making over 100,000, I'm telling my side of the story. Okay. I find that it's very important that we talk about how we got into foreclosure because I think that a lot of you all are going to benefit from that. Okay. So back in 2001, my husband and I decided to set up a company called Farmers Home Improvement. With this particular company, we were going to buy properties at a wholesale price. We were going to renovate the properties and either keep them or sell them to persons who were affordable housing buyers, okay? Or buyers to provide them with affordable housing, however you want to state that. All right? So that was the point. So one of the houses that we bought, our first house that we bought, now obviously we already had our own primary house, all right, in the nation's capital. So all of these houses that I'm speaking about were purchased in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. So the first house we already owned, and my husband had gotten that one also as a fixer-upper, but he was able to get that one through what was called back then the HPAP program. And it's still called HPAP, but back then it was HPAP, MPAP, and VPAP, all right? But he got that as a primary resident, getting down payment assistance, and it was a fixer-upper, and he was able to actually get that one and do work as you go along. All right. Now, so that's the one that we were living in. Now, the second house that we bought, this one was going to be an investment property. All right. Now, this investment property, which was also, I'm going to give you the subdivision, which was in Capitol Hill East, all right, which is near the RFK Stadium. That particular property was not on the market. All right. I found that one on the tax sale. All right. I saw it on the tax sale list. And I started to, just follow it. I would go downtown, do research on it, get some information. Because back then you can go downtown and look up the information to see if it was on a foreclosure, but it was not a foreclosure. This one was on a tax sale. Now, then as I continued to drive by the property, I saw that there was a sign on the property. Now, this sign was on the property, but guess what? It was not on the market. So that's called a pocket listing. When you got a sign on the property by a realtor, but it is not on the MLS. That's called a pocket listing. So we contacted the agent, we expressed interest in buying it, and we bought the property. But that property was bought as an estate sale because the owners were deceased and the niece was left as the personal representative of the estate. So we were able to buy the property, but at the time I was not a licensed agent. All right. So we got our own, the agent that we had going around for us. Even though he wasn't involved in this transaction, we found it ourselves. We felt that with the other work that he had did for us, that he should be a part of this listing or this particular purchase, because I just feel like I'm a person of integrity, or we're people of integrity, and we wanted to at least let him have something. So we let the agent know who was listing the property that we wanted him to get some kind of commission. All right. Because again, it was not on MLS. So that was our first purchase. All right. So I'm gonna first tell you about the purchases first. Then I'm gonna tell you about what happened with each one of them. All right. Now, so that was the second purchase. Then we had a third purchase. And again, if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my notes. We had a third purchase. We had one that we got from an auction. This was on D Street in Southeast. This was over in what we know as Fort DuPont Park. Again, I'm giving you the subdivisions. This particular house was a Rambler, a single family home. And we bought it on an auction. Now, this particular property, interestingly, first of all, it had tenants in the property. And at the time, you can go to the tenants, let them know, were you aware that the house was up for foreclosure, and we have bid on the property, have won the bid. So we are technically we have an invested interest, and we're going to be going to closing soon on the property. Is there anything that we can do to help you? Do you want to stay? Can you want us to help you to find another place because I am a realtor, that kind of thing. So they decided to move. That's what they decided to do. Anyway, we had the property appraised. This is the one on D Street in Fort DuPont Park. We had the property appraised. And what happened is, guess what? We bought the house for $75,000. Again, that's back in the 2000s, y'all. Don't be looking for them kind of prices in DC right now, okay? But we bought it for $75,000 at an auction, okay? And what happened is, after we got it appraised for $125,000, as is, where is, what it is. So my husband and I decided, you know what? Let's don't even put a broom to this one. Let's just flip it. So we flipped it to another agent / investor. He bought it from us for $125,000. We basically grossed $50,000, obviously minus our closing costs, and we netted that without even doing anything to that property. So that was nice. So that one obviously was a flip. We didn't get that one, wasn't foreclosed on. Then property number 4 there was another one that we had purchased in Fort DuPont Park. This one also had a tenant in the property who had been there most of her life. This one was on Crawford Place, also in Fort DuPont Park, as I mentioned. So we bought that one. We renovated it while the tenant was there. We just did some renovations, something that she could be able to stay there and while we do the renovations. And she rented the property from us for years. And I'll let you know what happened with that property when I come back. All right. The 5th property that we had purchased, this one was 5091 Just Street. It was in Deanwood. This particular property we bought also on the MLS. All right, this was occupied and we sold it, but it did need work. All right, and I'll get back to that one in a minute. Now the next one that we purchased was one that we purchased as a second home for ourselves. All right, so we bought that one in 2005, but we bought that one as a second home. We did not rent that one out. All right. Next, we had one that we bought at an auction at 600 in the 600 block of Columbia Road Northwest, which is considered it's right there on the crux of Columbia Heights. Right there on the crux of Columbia Heights. So it's considered Columbia Heights still, right there off of Georgia Avenue. That one was an auction property and was occupied by the owner. The owner's relatives did a seller financing deal for him, but they had said he never paid them. And so they went to foreclosure on him. And so we were the successful purchasers, and we knock on the door. We always try to work something out with the people that live there, whatever we can do. We never want to go to the point of being able to have to evict anybody. This particular tenant, though, or occupant, was not exactly workable with us. But we still tried to work with him. But again, I won't get into that story. But again, that's another one that we purchased, and we ended up renovating that property, cleaning it out. Actually, gutted that one to the core, renovated that property, and we ended up selling that property also. All right. Then next, we had bought one that was in, if you all know Fairfax Village. Fairfax Village is in what's known as Hillcrest in DC, right off of Pennsylvania Avenue. So this particular property, we were able to turn from a 1-bedroom, 1-bath into a 2-bedroom, 1-bath legally. We just used some ingenuity, but we turned that baby into a 2-bedroom, 1-bath because of the way that the floor plan was. We were able to do that, and we sold it as a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and we were able to get a profit on that one, probably about $50,000. But we renovated it, turned it to a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and made a profit on that property. Our next one that we purchased was another one at Fairfax Village. This one was on Pennsylvania Avenue. Didn't have the same floor plan as the other one did, so we weren't able to do that same trick with that one, but we did renovate it. But unfortunately, that particular Fairfax Village has 9 phases or 9 villages, and that particular village had a delinquency at the time. And at the time, if you had a delinquency, it's very difficult to sell the property or for somebody to buy it because they won't be able to get the loan at the time. Now you can. The buyer can put down 10% or 20% and buy it, but at the time they could not. All right. And then, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus our primary residence. It was 9 properties that we had owned in the District of Columbia. So now let's get to the point of foreclosure. All right, the property that was at 301 17th Street Southeast, that one we had renovated that property, made it really, matter of fact, that was gutted and renovated, okay? We had put tenants in this property. They were living in the property, we were getting paid, but because our gas meter had been put outside, when we went to go to try to sell a property, we got a contract on the property, but what happened is the gas company had turned off the gas because they said that we were supposed to have used their gas company vendors in order to move the gas meter outside. So I'm not sure how it was done because I was not in the renovation side of the department, so I won't speak on that. But as a result, they turned off the gas, so the tenants had to move. And when we put the house on the market, we weren't able to sell it. We got a contract, but the buyer went downtown to try to talk to the gas company, and they still would not put on the gas. It was terrible. They really wanted that house. But since we couldn't sell the house, we ended up going into foreclosure. Now, you might ask why. Because at this particular time, it was during the market when it was the market's prices started to plummet. It started to drop. So around that 2006, 2007, 2008 time period, going into 2009, the market prices started to drop drastically. Okay, so making it very difficult for persons to really hold on. So really the majority of my husband's income at that time was him renovating properties and flipping it, renovating properties, flipping them. All right. So what happened is at that moment, now that's starting to affect us. All right. With us not being able to be able to get the properties and be able to flip the properties. Now we only have one income, which is mine. Right. Now in 2008, I was also pregnant. So that means I got a spanking brand new baby coming, and I still had to work. But you could imagine, because I had to go on maternity leave, that was going to be limited of me being able to work or do as many deals as what I normally would try to do, you know. So, and then with my husband's income getting hit, then that hit really both of us. All right. So as a team, you know, that hit both of us. So what happened is at this moment, 301 17th Street, we were not able to continue to make that payment. All right. So since we couldn't sell it because of that gas meter, we had, like I said, we had a contract on it. The buyer wanted the house so bad that he went down to the gas company, as I mentioned, trying to get them to turn the gas back on, but he couldn't buy it without the gas being on, you know. So he had to come out of the contract, and therefore we ended up losing the property. That's one that we lost. Another one that we lost was at 3306 Crawford Place. That one was the one that the tenant was in, that we had rented from, who had lived in the property for a number of years. The good news is we were able to find her a place to rent somewhere else, but we lost that house as well. That's foreclosure number 2. And then the third foreclosure that we lost was at, let's see, there was 3306 Crawford, 301 17th Street I mentioned. Then it was also the one on Pennsylvania Avenue, all right? As I mentioned earlier in my conversation, we sold the one on Fairfax Village, but the second one we could not sell because they had a delinquency. And we had a lot of people interested in the property. People wanted the property, but because of that delinquency with the condo, so please, people, focus. When a condo has a delinquency, pay attention to that. Make sure your lender will provide funding, but at the time, they would not provide funding. Not even allowing, at the time, not even allowing person to put 10% down. They, like I said, they do now, but they did not allow that then. So as a result, we lost that property as well. All right, so that was 3 foreclosures you could imagine that hit our credit with a spanking brand new baby. And like I said, having one income, it was very devastating. But one of the lessons that I'd like to share with you all is when any of that happens, people, do not panic. Do not panic and count your blessings. We still had our primary residence at the time, and we still had the second property. And guess what? The second property, we had not put anybody in it. It had set from 2005 to 2009 because we were doing some work on that property, but we did not get any income on that property. All right. So again, these are so. What are some of the other lessons that we learned? As you can see, we actually got 8 additional properties, including the one that we already lived in, made it 9. But we got 8 additional properties during and from 2001 to 2009. So it's doing an 8-year span. All right. So when you buy properties, this is one of the things that I've learned. I'm speaking for myself. One of the things that I have learned, all right, is that we want to make sure that we put that property on its own 2 legs before you get another one. All right? Fix the property up, do whatever you're going to do to it, renovate it, you know, get the rent that you need, making sure that beforehand, because you make your money for investment properties, you make your money, people, when you buy it. So make sure when you run your numbers, because really all our numbers were really good, I have to say. We bought all of our properties very, very well. Very, very well. We didn't have a problem selling none of them. The problem was, like I said, 301 17th Street was the gas meter. Pennsylvania Avenue, there was delinquency with the condo, so we should have checked that out better. We could not sell it. We did not realize that. And third, the property that was at 3306 Crawford. We had no problem selling that property. We would not have had a problem at all selling that property. We wouldn't have had a problem, but we never even put that one on the market, to be frank and honest with you. We never did. Losing our places like we did, we got frustrated, got sad, but that one we didn't even put on the market. We just let it go, but the other ones, we did endeavor to sell, and some of them we did sell. But like I said, the lesson learned is get one at a time. Put that on its own bottom. Get profit from it. Let the rent be covering not only the maintenance, if you have a mortgage, let it be covering your monthly payments. Let it be covering your maintenance that you're going to have. Let it be covering your replacement and reserve, because all of your refrigerator, your hot water heaters, your boilers, they have a lifespan. So eventually they are going to break down. So be making enough money to be able to cover those things in the event that they break down, in addition to your debt service coverage, which is your monthly payment. And then make sure you have at least a $700 or more per month profit. Once you have all that going on, then you go to the next property. I tell you that I say that, and I'm not going to say it loud, but I'm going to be clear about it. Don't do like we did. We bought 8 properties in addition to the one we had, made it 9. And none of them, some of them we got rent, right? Which I'm very thankful for. The one on Crawford, we got rent. The one on 301 17th Street, we got rent. We were able to flip D Street. We were able to flip the one on Columbia Road. That was a blessing. But the ones that we lost, we made a great effort to fix those up and sell those, except for the one on Crawford. But even the one on Crawford we had fixed that one up, They were decent properties. We got them for a very nice price. So we really did buy right? Just the planning. We did not plan right? So I say to you loud and clear, make sure you buy one at a time, put it on its own bottom, then go to the next one, especially if you are a new investor, okay? Now, so that's how we ended up going to foreclosure. And I want to say, we even got down to the point where we had to choose between our primary residence and the second home that we had purchased, because I told you all I was pregnant, right? We already had 2 other kids, and that was a 2-bedroom we were living in. So we had to move out of that house that we were living in. We had to sell that house because, trust and believe it, the lenders was down our throat on that one too. We had one that was a short sale, one loan that was a short sale, and the other one that was heading into foreclosure that we had to make a settlement on. But we still sold it. We did not have to give that one away in foreclosure. We sold our primary residence and we were able to move into our second home, which had 3 bedrooms that we needed, plus a basement, etc. So thankfully, we still had a place to stay, but we did have 3 properties that went into foreclosure, and the 4th one, our primary resident, was heading there as well. But we were able to get from up under it by selling the property, right? So it's a painful thing. You can imagine our credit was destroyed. Our credit had went from 700. We had worked so hard in the 1990s to get our credit up to in the 700s to be able to buy the properties that we did. That's how we were able to get them, because we were able to get good loans and things like that. And some of the loans we were able to pay off before that market changed. But I tell you, to see your credit score go down so low that we didn't even have a number. Can you believe that? Our credit was so low that we didn't even have a credit score. And now we got a brand new baby. My poor husband didn't have his employment. His world was upside down, because I want to say, to my husband's credit, he's a very responsible man. He's very, very responsible. He was really doing a very good job at paying all those mortgages and maintaining those. But when that market fell, it really devastated his income, And I did my very best to try to keep the house that we did have, because we struggled. I'm going to tell you, the house that we did choose during that time of 2008 and 2009, I had to call. And here's another lesson. When you're going into foreclosure or you are behind in your mortgage payments, please don't hide from the lenders. That's lesson number 2. Do not hide from the lenders. Because even with the properties that we got foreclosed on, I still try to keep in contact with the people who were either the lender or the people who were put money up or invested money in our behalf. I still try to keep in contact with them and try to negotiate something with them. But this last house, our second home that we had to move into, that mortgage was devastated too. That mortgage ended up being devastated too in 2008, 2009. So I called them. I continued to stay in contact with them. I tried to get forbearance, or I tried to get a loan modification, and those people saw that whatever dime I got, 5,000 here, 10,000 there, we tried hard to put it towards them, but we still ended up behind. But I never, ever, 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 ever stopped calling them. My husband put me on that duty, and that's what I did. And so over the years, it was rough. You can imagine it was rough. But I'm going to tell you, I continued to stay in contact with them. They put us on a forbearance. And I'm going to tell you, you probably have never heard of a forbearance lasting for about 10 to 15 years. And it started off being able to last for 6 months. But by us trying to continue to work with them, and they gave us a settlement. First they would give us a 3 months, and then 3 months, and then 3 months. That baby continued to extend. We need 3 more months and 3 more months, and went from year to year to year to year to year to years later. And I want to say in 2022, they finally decided to refinance our loan and put anything that was in arrears in the back of the loan. You see, but all those years I was paying a settlement, right? Now the settlement, interestingly, when you make a settlement, lesson number 3, okay? Please notice, when you make a settlement and do a forbearance, please only do it temporarily. Forbearances allow you to pay a lower amount, but guess what? They are still adding up the difference that you did not pay. that was due on the monthly payment. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that your mortgage was $3,000 and the forbearance agreement said that you can pay $1,500. Well, the difference, the other $1,500, they're not forgiving that. Even though they're allowing you to only pay $1,500 and accept just that $1,500, they're still calculating $1,500 every single month that you have not paid that difference. And they're tacking on fees, they're tacking on penalties, they're tacking on late fees as well. So all of those years, even though we had a settlement, they literally were charging us all of that money, all that extra interest, and it was like, oh my goodness. So I was able to figure out the algorithm, because there was a way in which they were charging us. And I was able to figure out the algorithm. Because again, I told you my husband put me on this duty, right? And I was able to figure it out as I was studying those payments and study. You got to read your paperwork, folks. Make sure you read your lending paperwork. Okay, that's lesson number 4. You got to read your paperwork that the lender send you, so you can understand what's going on, the principal, the interest, the taxes, and insurance, and you can follow everything. I was able to figure out what was going on, so eventually I was able to start working at things so I can play towards more of the principal. And as a result of us doing that, they were able to say, oh, okay, well, they being real responsible. That's why they gave us the refinance. We also, thankfully, by me calling early on, we made really good relationships with certain contacts at our lending firm. We really did. And one was Christine Flosores. If she's out there this very day, if she's still living, I thank her. She even though she stopped working for our lending firm, she also put me in contact with this other gentleman. His name was Nathan Reese. It still is Nathan Reese. Nathan stayed there all these years, from 2009 until 2022. He was still working at our lending firm. And I tell you, I could call him, I could email him, I could update him. When they stopped taking my payments by mail, and he made a way for the servicing company to still take my payments by phone, whatever we had to do to make those payments, because I continued to make those payments. We continue to do that, you see. And you got it, please, people, don't run from your lenders and read your statements. That's point 3 and point 4. These were additional lessons that we learned during this time, okay? Now, you can imagine, like I said, our credit was really a wreck, okay? It was a wreck. They were trying to take our car, right? They took, the lenders took the car that I was driving, right? And then I called them again. Call people, don't let it go. Make an arrangement to go get your car. And I did that, right? And then I tell you, my husband put me on a duty. He put me on duty, right? But the beautiful car, the beautiful F-150 that he had, they would not respond to us. We immediately called them, and his truck was really pretty though. They immediately sold his car and would not give us any information on it. Would not give us no information on that truck so that we could make arrangements to go get it and try to make some kind of a payment arrangement, right? But nope. They sold that truck immediately. And guess what? If they sell it for less than what you owe, then they come after you for the difference, right? So we were just getting hit in every way. 3 foreclosures. We had a short sale, on our record. We had the 2 repossessions, but one we were able to recapture. You can imagine that the credit cards that we did have, even though they weren't really huge, but the credit cards that we did have, even it was a hot mess. It was just a hot mess. So like I said, our credit was so low that we did not have a credit score. So folks, when you have a foreclosure or 3 foreclosures on your record, it's going to stay there for 7 long years. 7 long years. You can imagine there was no going to try to buy any investments, not through the lending company. There was no trying to get no credit card or no kind of credit, right? No, we couldn't do that. right? You know, but, and we did not, I want to say, we did not file bankruptcy. Did some research on it and we chose not to file bankruptcy. So trust and believe it. Guess what? You think that was bad? There's more news. We also ended up with a federal IRS tax lien. A federal IRS tax lien. With everything else going wrong, we had one of those too, right? But like I said, do not panic. Do not panic. When your world is shaking around you, hold on to the God who you serve. As I mentioned, the one that I serve in my last video is my great God in the heavens, Jehovah. And I prayed, we prayed, you know, and guess what else we experienced with our brand new baby and with our 2 other kids? No gas in the house. That meant no heat. No heat with a brand new baby. So we snuggled up real tight, trust and believe it, with covers and everything. No electricity for about several months also, right? But those candles came in handy at night. And thank Jehovah for the wonderful sun we have above during the day. But no electricity. So there'll be no TV. But it was okay. Got a chance to get a little closer as a family, right? You know? But no heat for kids, that can be devastating, right? And it was a period of time where we had no water. The water was off also. Okay? So my husband and his wonderful ingenuity, he went out to the lakes and with the kids and would get buckets of water so we could flush the toilet, right? And we were able to buy some bottled water, right, for us to drink. You know, our wonderful friends were kind and would drop off food in front of our home. We were very grateful, thankful during that very devastating time. We're very thankful to them, you know, but we still continue to have shelter over our heads. We really appreciate that. And we thank all of you all who were there for us at that time. We thank you so much. But as I mentioned, this video is from foreclosure. And I didn't say to making $1 million. I didn't say that. Because we still average people, right? And we're okay with that, right? But I said from foreclosure to making 100,000. But that's on my end. And then my husband has his 100,000 that he makes, right? But again, right now, I said this video is called From Foreclosure to Making 100,000. That's on my end, right? I'm gonna speak to my numbers, right? So the beautiful thing is I was able to stay because we both are self-employed. I did not say that. We both are self-employed. My husband's a contractor. I'm a real estate agent. I'm also a property manager, right? Now, the beautiful thing, come the year of 2017, I made $108,944. But guess what? When you're in real estate, it doesn't always stay that way. The market goes up, the market goes down. Then 2018, I only made $25,226. I'm just being real with y'all. I'm just being real, okay? In 2019, I made $77,672. In 2020, during COVID, I only made $22,397 and still invested some money, right? In 2021, boop, I made $99,668. 2022, I made over 139,000. That's not even counting the property management money that I made. 139,000. Like I said, I'm not counting my husband's numbers, right? So I made 139,000. All this is as a real estate agent, right? Now, the last 2 years, you know, the market, the interest rates going up and all that, so my income has been affected, but we're still blessed, right? I made in 2023 $63,225, and This past year, 2024, made $67,798, right? While a lot of realtors were getting out of the game, we still were able to bring in income as a real estate agent, right? And like I said, it's not counting the property management money, right? And this is not counting my husband's money that he makes, right? So between the two of us, we make over $200,000, right? But the beautiful thing is, people, we were in foreclosure. We now have been able to improve our credit. You know, I was able to get my credit up to 700 and something thousand. Excuse me, over 700, you know, and I also brought my husband along with me. But keep in mind that there are 5 factors that you have to keep in mind. If you bring that debt usage high, it's going to drop that score down to around 6 something. So that has affected us as well. So we're in the mid 600s now because our debt usage had went up, right? So again, but the moment that you pay your debt usage down below 10%, the score goes right on up to 7 something, right? All right, around, because ours usually hovers around 750 when that happens, right? So, but again, this is how we went from foreclosure to making over $100,000. The struggle, folks, is real. But you can't panic. You cannot panic. You have to think things through. You have to stay in contact with your lenders. You see? Please do. Make a plan of action. Go back and look at this video to see those lessons that we discussed, right? So that you too can go from foreclosure or bankruptcy to making over $100,000. You too can do it. Stay positive. And that tax lien, long been paid off. All those years of taxes that were due, long been paid off, right? Now we just have the current ones that we have to pay, right? You know how good it felt to be able to pay all those years of federal taxes? Do you know how good it felt to be able to get that refinance loan and be able to now be ahead in our mortgage? Do you know how good it felt to be able to have a decent credit score and no longer have those negative remarks? We have all paid as agreed on our credit report right now. Do you know what that feels like? That is true freedom. True freedom. So if you have struggles that you want us to cheer you on about, because like I said, this channel is based on how we are rewarding our struggles and celebrating our wins. We're not getting sad about it. We're rewarding our struggles and we are celebrating our wins, people. So please share yours down below. We're going to make it through this. We're going to make it through this. Okay? All right? So I want you all to hold your head up high and celebrate those small things. I'm going to tell y'all something. When I used to write down those people, all those people that I owed and all those different ones that we owed as a unit, every one that we paid back, I would check off manually, put a manual check, boom, and would celebrate it. So you got to celebrate those small wins. You got to celebrate those small wins. Because it's those small wins that lead to larger wins. That all that stuff got paid off. Right? Right? It was beautiful. It was rewarding, to have that. You see? So please, you too can go from foreclosure to making over $100,000 or more. Comment down below. Share your story. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. We appreciate you. And subscribe to our channel. We look forward to seeing you again. Bye-bye.